What's up, party people? Welcome back. Happy Friday to you if you're watching this video when it comes out. Happy Saturday to me, because that's when I record these videos. Thought I'd dress a little nicer today, because you guys deserve it, you know? We have a stack, and I also finished reading Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Carroll. Lewis Carroll. Alice is the girl in the book. And I also read another Flannery O'Connor short story, Heart of the Park. So, yeah, let's dive in. So, first book that I bought is Thomas Hardy's Under the Greenwood Tree. Now, this is the first book that we have of Thomas Hardy's that he wrote. He wrote a different book, The Lady and the Something, I forget. That manuscript, he submitted it 5 times and everyone rejected it. And then he destroyed it later in life, so we don't even have it, which is kind of a bit of an underdog story, right? Like, you think that all these famous writers are just kind of good off the rip, they got talent, but he was rejected 5 times before he just gave it up, right? And then he started on a new novel, which is this one, Under the Greenwood Tree. So this is the first book that he wrote that we have. So that's pretty cool. Now, I believe that Hardy, after he died, or not after he died, sorry, while he was writing, he divided his novels into 3 types, those being romances and fantasies, books of ingenuity, and then books of the character and their environment. So I don't fully understand the division. I mean, obviously, I kind of get it based on the names, but I'm not really sure what he means by books of ingenuity. But anyways, this is his first book in the characters and their environment style. Now, I recently read his Return of the Native, and I would guess, if I had to guess, that would be the same type as this, characters in their environment, because the heath plays a large role in that book as well. So pretty cool. This one's shorter, so I bet you it's probably under 200 pages. Yep, 190, so pretty good. Next up, we got a whole bunch of P.G. Wodehouse. Remember Wodehouse, not Wodehouse, even though it's spelt kind of odd. So I've got Stiff Upper Lip Jeeves. Now remember that Wodehouse was famous for his Jeeves and Wooster series, where he has a bunch of books about Jeeves and Wooster, where they get into sorts of kerfuffles and hijinks and cause all sorts of trouble. And they can be read out of order. Doesn't matter. The Stiff Upper Lip Jeeves is here. I've also got Pearls, Girls, and Monty Bodkin. I believe that's part of the same universe. It might not be, but anyways. And then we also have got Aunts Aren't Gentlemen. Ants or Aunts, I don't know how you say it, but there you go. So yeah, very nice. Happy with those. So I believe Thomas Hardy was born 1840, so it coincides pretty well with the Victorian era. And then Wodehouse being born, I believe, 1881, so about 40, or what is that, 41 years after the fact. And then right in between, smack dab in the middle of those two, we have our next author, which is Rudyard Kipling. Now, Kipling is famous for writing about the war, World War I, and he won the Nobel Prize in 1907, I believe, at age 41. And I believe that was connected with his book, Puck of Pook's Hill, which I do have. I think I've shown it before. And at the time, he was the youngest author to ever win the Nobel Prize for Literature at 41. So not too young, but not too old either. So the 2 I have from Kipling here are Debits and Credits, which it looks like is a collection of short stories, actually, and another collection of short stories, which are The Complete Stalky and Co., in one of my favorite Oxford matte white bindings. So happy to find that, very clean, almost new for $6. So hard to complain about that. Not sure when I'll get to these, but yeah, eventually. Next up we have, wow, somebody from like 150 years earlier, and that is Samuel Johnson. Now, Johnson, I have his collected or selected works, I'm not sure, and then also the biography. He was immemorialized? I'd forget the word. Anyways, he was talked about in The Life of Samuel Johnson by Boswell. I have that as well. I'm planning on reading those in conjunction. Now, he wrote one novella in his life, and that's called The History of Rasselas, Prince of Abyssinia. And I have it here. It's pretty short. Now, apparently it's an apologue, which is a kind of a shorter, like fairy tale style allegory that has like a moral teaching. So looking forward to reading that. Yeah, only sort of novel or novella he ever wrote. So that's cool. And then I also, cool find, I got his dictionary. Now, the first dictionary ever written in the English language, 1770 something. Maybe that's not right. Yeah, 1755, my bad. And this is obviously not the whole thing. It's a selected words, but very cool. Okay, first English dictionary ever made. Now, some of the spelling's been modernized, but on the whole, pretty cool. So I'm happy about that. Now, this is the first dictionary actually I own in my library, which is kind of weird. You'd think that I would have one already. And I'm planning... I'm not planning specifically, but you cannot always count on the internet being available, right? Sometimes maybe you have a power outage, or you are somewhere where you don't have connection. So it's good to have a dictionary with you. Now, this one might be not as functional as maybe a modern dictionary. This one's more fun, because there's kind of some archaic words that are in here still. And the definitions he gives aren't like sterile and exact. They're more organic, yeah, so that's fun. Now, on the same note, not by Johnson, but on the same note of not being able to always have the internet available, I also bought a thesaurus. Now, this thesaurus is interesting. It's Rogit's Thesaurus of English words and phrases. I don't think it's the full thing, and I'm not sure which edition it is. But it has a cool, colorful dust jacket. Originally written 1805, so again, kind of going with that older theme. Now, when Rogit wrote this, he kind of meant it to be like not only like a thesaurus, but also like a kind of philosophical work on the schematic and organizational lexicon of the English language. And he was kind of like in the tradition of Leibniz and like categorizing things. I don't know too much about Leibniz, but anyways, he saw this thesaurus as more of a philosophical work, not just kind of like a philological or literary work. So yeah, this is cool. Again, I'm hoping that there's some more archaic words in here, which looks like there are. So I've entry 132, young person. We have whippersnapper, hobbledehoy, teddy boy, midshipman. Anyways, it's, yeah, super fun. Lots of interesting words in here. So I'm not going to read this front to cover. I mean, some people do read Samuel Johnson's dictionary cover to cover, just because it's kind of fun. Definitely won't be doing that with this. This one's thick. I don't even know how many pages this is. Yeah, 1,300. So definitely will not be reading that cover to cover. Now, again, same as last week, I don't like to get too crazy here, but let's take the jacket off and see. Ooh, wow. Like a brilliant blue. It's very nice. Anyways, I will keep the dust jacket on this one because I like how colorful it is. But yeah, that's Rogit's Thesaurus. And that's the stack for the week. So not too big, not too small, pretty average sized, I would say. And now I want to chat briefly about what I finished this week. So we have here Lewis Carroll's Alice Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Now, I was really looking forward to reading this and having some charming British prose, but I was a little underwhelmed by it, to be honest. It's a 3 out of 5 for me. I was hoping it'd be a 4 out of 5, but it's more of a 3. Now, what was wrong with it? It was very episodic and, like, odd. Now, I will say that the Looking Glass is probably better than Adventures in Wonderland, and it's so famous, you'd think it'd be amazing, and maybe you have to be a kid to get it. I don't know, maybe I've lost some of that charm and whimsy, and I'm just not able to appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, it was good, but it just felt kind of disjointed. Although I will say that the poetry in here is very charming. So I do like some of the poems that he sticks in there that the characters are reciting. So, and it is charming. It's just a little disjointed, I guess. Anyways, that was a good read. It's very easy to read. You can get it done in, I don't know, a couple hours. It's pretty quick. And then the short story I read this week by O'Connor was The Heart of the Park. Now, this one is also connected to the previous two. I did a bit of research, and I think that this week and then the previous 2 weeks, those short stories are kind of the seed that she used to write her first novel. I'm not sure if it's her first novel, Wise Blood. So again, we have the same characters as last week. Enoch, which is like the annoying guy I referenced last week but didn't name him. Enoch, and then we also have Hayes, or Hazel. So they're back again, and I'm looking ahead, and it looks like next week it's not related. Oh, maybe it is. No, it's not. So next week we have A Stroke of Good Fortune, but after that it's Enoch and the Gorilla, which, Enoch again, right? So, man, she kind of just took a bunch of short stories and made them into a novel, I guess. Anyways, Heart of the Park, I'll talk briefly about it. This one, I don't know, last week had some symbolism, but I couldn't piece it out. This one I'm not sure has any symbolism. I really didn't understand this one. I looked it up and the interpretation online didn't add anything, so maybe there's just nothing here. One other thing I'll mention is that when, so Flannery O'Connor was a Catholic, okay, that's just very important to understand her writing, and she also very often inserts Christ-like figures or Christian allusions into her texts, perhaps unconsciously, I'm not sure. But one time when she was asked about the Eucharist, she took the Orthodox Catholic perspective and said that if it's a symbol, to hell with it, right? So basically saying that transubstantiation, the body and the blood become, or the bread and the cup become the body and blood of Christ when you eat it. And so I wonder how much that saying of if it's a symbol, to hell with it, would transfer to her writing as well, not just about the Eucharist. Now, it's a bit of a stretch, I know, but it makes you wonder, right? Because not all of her short stories kind of contain obvious symbols, and Heart of the Park is one of those. So what happens is we have Enoch and Hayes again. Enoch, he's kind of an odd dude. He for some reason always does the same things, kind of like a ritual in the day. So he goes and he kind of plays peeping Tom on this lady who swims at the public pool, and then he goes from there to go to get a milkshake, and then after that he goes to the zoo, and then after the zoo he sneaks into this place that he found in the park, which is revealed later as just a museum. But that's his daily ritual. He does that every day, and for some reason he found something in the museum that he thinks is really crazy and weird. Sorry, I've got loose hairs here. I just showered. Anyways, and for some reason he thinks that this thing he found in the museum is really crazy. So he sees Hazel at the pool, and he kind of convinces him to come see this thing in the museum. Hayes doesn't want to come. He wants the address of the blind man from the last short story, but it's revealed at the end that Enoch doesn't know it, but he plays him along. He's like, oh, I'll tell you if you come with me for the day. So he gets him very reluctantly to kind of go through his daily ritual with him. So they go get a milkshake. Hayes doesn't want one. And he keeps saying to different people that he meets, or to himself, that I'm not clean, I'm bad. I'm kind of maybe insinuating that he's done something. Enoch maybe hints that he stole the vehicle that he has. I don't know. I'm sure if you read Wise Blood in full that you would get more context, but in the short story itself, as a standalone piece, you don't get that information. So they eventually end up in the museum together, and they see in the case that the thing that Enoch has been hyping up the whole time is this shrunken man who's maybe primitive. He has some blunt weapons in there with him, and he's oh, Enoch says, this guy in the case that's shrunken, he used to be as tall as us. Now he's 3 feet tall. Some Arabs in 6 months shrunk him to 3 feet. And then the lady from the pool comes into the museum and whistles to signal to the authorities that they snuck in, and they run away. And then as they run, Hazel is what's the address? And Enoch doesn't know it. He's just all flustered. So Hazel throws a rock, hits him in the head, he starts bleeding, and he runs away. Now we do get some allusions to the book Wise Blood in here, because in this short story, Enoch predicts that he's going to run into Hayes that day, and he says he's able to predict this because he has wise blood. And then at the very end of the story, his blood is spilled because he's hit with a rock. And it's maybe alluded to that he is caught by the authorities because he's not running away. Only Hayes runs away. He's kind of not hit by the rock and kind of sits there. So there's a bit of an allusion to Christ there, blood being shed, and he's kind of sacrificing himself for Hayes. But it kind of ends there. I'm not really too sure what other connections I could make. But yeah, some allusions to the Wise Blood novel. But yeah, kind of an interesting one. Not really too much to take away from it or learn, but it was good. One thing I liked about the prose is that she continually used Enoch's heartbeat to kind of drive the story along. Like as the story kind of gets to like a climax, his heart's beating really fast, and then it stops, his blood stops. Or obviously it doesn't really stop, or else he'd die, but like it's described as he feels that his blood stops pumping, and then it starts again after the climax happens. So yeah, good one. I liked it. So we'll stick with the one story a week. I got a comment on my last video that had a good suggestion in it. Sorry, I forget your username. But it was saying that I should do more videos that are not so like a jumble of different things, where I review books and talk about what I've been doing, and more so focus on like a text one at a time, and that way the YouTube algorithm would pick it up a little better. I think I will start doing that. The reason I say that is because I'm running out of books to talk about on the channel, and that was kind of the whole idea, is that I would kind of update you every week with what I'm buying. But not that I'm running out of money, because these books are kind of cheap, but I do have only one stack left. So we'll see if I buy more. Maybe I'll still try to do that. And I'm going to stick to at least one video a week. Just the format might change a little bit, so just keep your eyes open for that. But otherwise, yeah. One more thing as well is I'm trying to do a couple short stories a month of my own. Now, I publish all of my writing through a newsletter. It's on Substack, so the link is in my YouTube bio. I'll try to put it in the video description too, but who knows if it'll show up there. So if you're interested in hearing what I have to write, which I totally get if you wouldn't, that's fine. But anyways, if you do want to read that, I would suggest, yeah, just subscribe to the newsletter. It's totally free, so yeah, no loss there. And it's not spam. I usually push out, like, the newsletter is distributed monthly, and then sometimes if I write a short story, I'll push that out separately. So you might get 2, maximum 3 emails a month from me, but probably just 1 or 2. So yeah, and at the end of the day, you can just delete it. So not really too much of a cost benefit there. Anyways, yeah, have a good week, and I'll see you soon.